Hello, welcome to Mystic Revolution. Susana and I are so glad you're here. And we're in season 5. This is episode 59. Today we are continuing our conversation about soul. Last time we talked about our soul tools and the difference they can make. And we're going further in that today to talk about what it is we mean by soul work, doing the work, and how that affects our reality. So before we get started, you know what we're going to do? We're going to tune into the inside and play a little bit with what we're talking about. So when you're ready, if it's safe, please close your eyes and feel your skin and feel your weight in the chair, and allow the chair to support your body. Go and let the chair just relax a little bit more into the chair. Good. And then go and let your body and your chair be supported by the floor. And breathe and let the floor be supported by the structure, the foundation. And all of that foundation is supported by rock and dirt and layers of water and lava all the way down to the center of the earth. Gravity's pulling us to the center of the earth. Our bodies can relax into that. We are part of the earth. We belong. We can be safe here now. Good. And now let's say hi to our souls, opening like a lotus, all through our own personal space, our aura, all through our personal space, opening like a lotus or a rose. I like the lotus though, because then the grounding, the stem goes down into the muddy earth. And bring your attention like a candle flame or like a star to the top of your head, the crown, and then let it fall to the center of your head, behind your third eye, between your ears and up a little, behind your eyes and up a little. Good. Let your attention be like a candle flame, a star. And because you're more here, notice how connected your body is with the earth, always is. Good. You can just stay like this and enjoy being centered and grounded while we chat. Or if you'd like to come back to more everyday consciousness, feel free to gently open your eyes. All right, Miss Susana, what do you want to start with?
Well, what I guess I wanted to talk about, why people come to this work. I mean, many people come to it because they're really sensitive. They want to know how to navigate that or manage it. Other people come to it because they have mystic sensibilities and they want to really learn how to work with that, be in that reality a little bit more. And you're going to hear us use the word reality quite a bit because the work that we do actually can shift the way you see and navigate the world, how you understand the world. And thus that is a reality shift. Many people have inklings of things and they want to be in an environment or work with people who won't think they're crazy, who understand the yearning to connect with the divine, to be able to direct energy in ways. So there's a lot of reasons why people come to this work. Some people come to it because I want to understand my soul better, but that's often not the first thing that we hear. But the work ultimately does bring us into the soul and deep soul work. And last episode, we talked about some of the sort of foundational tools that we work with, and that will continually deepen, right? It's not just like we learn to ground and leave that tool behind. That's something that can develop, deepen even more, even if you've been doing it for, decades. There's always more to see and learn and be in that continually supports shifting one's reality. Certainly the first time I really locked into center of head, my mind was blown. My reality was definitely shifted because I realized, wow, I actually can pull out of whatever spinning was going on, whatever outer chaos, my perceived outer chaos was going on. I could find center, peace, clarity.
Yes.
So we understand under the premise that every person on the planet is experiencing a different reality. Just because Wendy and I are looking at the same thing doesn't mean we are experiencing it in the same way, seeing it in the same way. Wendy may notice more details of a certain thing. I may notice something else. Thus, our reality about a thing is completely different. From a multisensory, let's just start with an emotional perspective. I'll just give an example of myself. When I was in a dark place, my reality was dark. My inner thought processes, my heart felt like I had a huge hole in it. My inner thought processes were self-deprecating, self-judgmental, outer judgmental. And I will say, if you're judging yourself, you are judging other people, right? Like they're sort of one and the same. And that's a reality that one can be in. Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, I got the big message, like, this isn't working anymore. And if it doesn't shift, you're either going to be insane or you're going to be dead. And I was really resistant because that sort of chaos and darkness and sort of was so familiar to me. I couldn't see what was beyond it. I couldn't see a different reality.
Right. It is our reality when we're there. It is our reality. And we usually know that it can shift.
We don't know that it can shift. Mm-hmm. And coming to this practice and these tools, I mean, I think I talked about how I got here. I won't go into that in too much detail, but it was like the universe intervened, let's just say, in a big way. And I suddenly found myself, working with someone with what we've been talking about for all of these 5 seasons. And it's sort of, I'm going to say, it butts up against so many belief systems about our culture, like that we all must agree on reality, right? What I experience, you must be experiencing, right? If I'm having these feelings, why don't you feel the same way? If I'm seeing it this way, what's wrong with you? And understanding our inner technology and having the levers and the tools to make these changes sets us up to create new possibilities for our lives. Actually make some of the things, the dreams that we think could never happen.
Yeah. And we've talked about all that along the way, and it's pretty exciting. And some people are probably like, well, that's nice for you. But it's like, what if we do the work and things change? What if?
And I think being able to ask the question, what if, is courageous, because it's not easy. I mean, and I guess that's the other thing I want to talk about, right? It's like, do you want to continue in ways that you had before that don't feel good or seem hard? Or do you want to do something different, which has its own set of challenges, right? It's its own set of things. Mostly because, I mean, there is a discipline to it, right? Like any practice, a spiritual practice, a magic practice, music practice. I mean, anything, it requires a discipline
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to uncover stuff. You're going to pull up the roots of stuff that isn't working. It's like weeding the garden and planting new seeds. And,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
even in planting new seeds, that can be hard work, but that's the path of the mystic.
Yeah.
That's the path of magic. We see movies and stuff with witches and sorcerers and whatever, waving a wand or saying a word and things happen. But anybody that knows magic knows that like you have to work at it to get to the ability so that you can do these things with that level of ease, that perceived level of ease, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, be a captain of the ship.
Yep.
Be, master of your soul. And then I can. And if I'm not, I can't.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to imagine if I haven't been building that muscle and practicing being at the wheel of the ship, that it can happen.
Yeah.
That we can find the wheel and we can turn the wheel and we can, because up till then it's like, oh, we can only rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic. Like, what else can we do? But
Right.
like, we can take over the wheel and turn. And that, I'm just saying that. I hope that sounds like a possibility that's worth looking into.
Yeah.
And what I like to talk about is, it reminds me of the game Othello, which I don't know if you remember. It's a minute to learn and a lifetime to master. Each of the tools aren't hard. It's like, oh, like I can say them in a sentence or two, and then what they do in a sentence or two or three. It's a minute to learn, but then to actually master them. Like in my beginner meditations, in our beginner meditations, people come who've been doing the work, just started, been doing it a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Like, it's because going back to the basics is really powerful, and owning it yet deeper and yet wider and being here even more that's the game.
Yeah. So we'll just take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that on the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a Mystic Revolution meditation, and you're invited. Just go to our website and you'll find the link. We look forward to seeing you then.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Welcome back to Mystic Revolution, and we are talking about what does it look like to actually delve in our soul and do the work, and what can happen. And one of the things we talked about before we started is that we practice moving energy on purpose. And that helps us in this practice because the way we practice moving energy actually serves so much in our system and then in our soul and life. But also just the capacity to do it, then we can do it in different ways. We can make choices about how energy moves. And for example, after I started doing this, a while after I started doing Qigong, and it's like the energy has some different patterns, but I know how to move it. And it was a whole different thing because had done it before tools, and I was like, oh, this is fine. And I do it after tools. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Because I was able to do it and engage not just the body, but the energy and receiving from heaven and earth and all around. It was fantastic. So I know that, Susana, that you talked about a story about people you've worked with who've found some mastery around moving energy, and it really helped them in other places that they were working in their mastery.
Oh, sure. I mean, gosh, there's so many, but I think on the topic of sort of shifting one's reality, I can use a certain example from my world, but I also think there's catastrophic thinking is common.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that our media is doing anything to remedy it. Let's just say that. But catastrophic thinking, wearing glasses of constantly looking and waiting for the next shoe to drop, the next terrible thing to happen, I think probably people can relate to that, right? There's something, I can't ever let myself just be, because I've always got to be ready to catch the next ball. I've got to be ready to, right? This kind of thing that creates a reality, can create a reality of living in chaos, living in fear, living in this heightened state of expecting the worst. And that is a reality. When we live in that reality, we see that that becomes our focus. We unwittingly contribute to more of that energy in our world. And I'm not going to say we cause catastrophes, but when your reality is based on that or has that as a major thread in it, you're going to have a very particular kind of life. I hate to be so blunt, but that's the case. Mm-hmm. I know that when people have talked about, like healing and more love and light in the world, and people get pretty sarcastic about it, like, oh, love and light, whatever. But there is a reality where both live, right? We have the emotion, we have the darkness, if you will. We also have the light. And from my perspective, in every situation, right, we can allow that at least 50% of each. But the tools help us to see that and to be in that and learn to navigate that in a way where there becomes more of a balance. There becomes more of an awareness of duality and an acceptance of duality. And then the ability to direct energy in ways that better support, right, our existence and the existence of those around us. So that's a big paradigm and reality shift. And I wanted to go there first because some of the miracles, I'm going to say, miracles that have come out of that have been, for myself and for others, go along the lines of like incredible physical healing, like shifting, being able to shift one's physical health or physical well-being from something that is not serving you into more optimal health. Shifts in money, shifts in relationships. And I think the catastrophic thinker often will look outside and be like, well, why is this happening? Why is God doing this to me? Why is the universe doing this to me? Why is my partner always this way and doing this to me? And the technology that we work with helps us understand that we are actually in the game. We are a dynamic creator in our reality, and we have more access to more power and resources to shape our reality than we have been led to believe.
Yeah. So I believe you have some stories of people, given that context, like someone who works with Qigong or someone who, sings, or, there's stories that you told me that bring this to light of what it looks like.
Gosh, there's so many, but I mean, you brought up martial arts earlier, and certainly I've worked with a few people that are are martial artists. And with that background, and then in learning the tools, like to your point, they really like enhance and amplify each other. And what that comes down to is just a more rapid knowingness of energy and energy mastery and how to shift it and direct it. So I sort of referenced some things about changing health situations and changing relationships, like saving a relationship that was literally on the brink and about to fall apart, and two people being in the dynamic of sort of blaming and pointing fingers at each other. And then one of the people just sort of taking responsibility for their part in the dynamic.
Yes. And then the whole thing changes. It changes the dance. One person changes the dance. Yes.
Yeah. The thing is, it's easy to get in finger pointing. It's easy to say, well, you hurt me and you did this.
Right.
But ultimately, we can't rise above that kind of finger pointing unless we choose to, unless we learn how to tend to our inner selves and decide we are actually the captain of the ship.
Yeah. And that I can get my needs met here instead of trying to get you to do it. And that takes a lot of energy off the relationship. If I can get my needs met here from heaven and earth and heal some of the wounding and stuff that has me whatever, then I can change. And then I can be like, what do I want? Like, do I choose to be with this person or not? If I choose to, what do I want to create instead of how bad they are or wrong they are, or how it never works how I want it? Like, I can focus on what do I want to create? All right, I want to go on weekends and do fun things. I want to, wake up and snuggle. Can I move toward that instead of all the things I don't want and how bad they are?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, we talked about grounding and center of head. Those are great places to start because they allow you to start being more in the present moment. Like, what's going on in this moment? And in this moment, you can start to recognize how you're contributing to things and maybe ways that aren't so helpful. You can also, from that center of headspace, have greater perception about what's actually going on for the other person. And both of those things together can be game changers and can change the reality of your relationship.
Awesome. And then another big thing that can happen, and the words that you used when we talked about it, are then we can up level. Then we can go to the next step. And the next episode, we're going to talk about this in depth. But I just want to say, it reminds me of the quote, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it, which is not an Einstein quote, but but it is a useful quote because it, like we were talking about with relationships, if we shift who we're being, if we shift what we're needing, if we shift our how we're framing a situation, then the situation is shifted.
Yeah.
And then we can operate differently. And especially as we shift consciousness, and we're going to be talking about that more later.
Yeah. And like I mentioned before, I mean, relationships, financial situations, health, state of beingness, your sort of default way of operating in the world and navigating everything can change. And that's not magic talk. It's the truth.
Yeah. And we also spoke about how when we talk about this, it gets confused because people have a physical perspective and we're talking about a spiritual perspective or energy. And it helps to disambiguate those and say, okay, physical things, we do physical things, but in our own soul, there's things that we can do. There's things we can take charge of. We can become captain and choose which direction to go. And that changes things. And to have the distinction of physical. Okay, emotions are emotions, giving us information, and music, they're physical, but then there's also the spiritual vibration.
Yeah.
And that's a huge and important distinction that really helps. Even in our own conversations with ourselves. What needs to be done physically? What needs to be done to care for the body? What needs to be done to tend the soul? What needs to be done to what serves us? And not needs to be done, doesn't have to be done, but what serves us to focus on and to choose and where to go.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this time we're kind of talking about how the practices make such a distinct difference in the quality and experience of our inner lives, and that goes on to the rest of our lives. And we're going to be continuing that conversation next time. But first, let's just do a little meditation. So go ahead and tune within. In the beginning, we talked about how to ground. So just let yourself notice the natural connection between your lower body and the earth. You can use a picture, if you'd like, of an umbilical cord from your whole lower body to the center of the earth, sending and receiving what's needed, getting all kinds of support from the mother. And you belong, and you're safe, and you can release what you're done with and get the nutrients and the support and the love that your body needs. Good. And bring your attention to the center of the head even more, like little sparks of light coming from everywhere, back to the candle flame, and rest. If you'd like, you can let go like sand in your hands of all of the information and energy you've received in this conversation, because anything that's yours, anything that resonates, anything that is like, oh, I like that, it's now your own information. And just let go of Susana's and let go of mine, let go of everyone else's, like sand in your hands. Just let go like sand in your hands and drop it. And let's ask a beautiful waterfall of goodness from the universe, maybe like warm honey gold, to come through your whole space, filling in all the changes that you made in this conversation, all the things you let go of. And this gold naturally can come to your own beautiful, unique vibration. Your head grounded. Feel free to stay like this for as long as it serves you. And when you're ready, you can start to move around. Gently start to open your eyes, rub your knee, touch the ground. Thank you so much for playing with us today. We hope that you share some of the things that you've noticed for yourself about this conversation. And we look forward to seeing you next time here on Mystic Revolution. Thanks so much for playing with us. Please support Mystic Revolution by liking and sharing our show.
And sign up to get notified when new content is available. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always.
Join us for our monthly Mystic Meditation on the first Tuesday of the month at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Click on the link in the description to get more information and join the Mystic Revolution.